In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Welcome into the No Off Days podcast, not to be confused with Florida Tonight. This is your favorite podcast. He is Chris Cato. We got BK in the booth. I'm Scott Smith. I noticed that you received a little something from a viewer.
I got something in the mail, Scott.
How about that?
Don't you like it when you actually get something in the mail that isn't just like a political flyer?
Yeah, I get emails, and usually they're either meant for me but not related to me in any way, or they're some type of rebuke about my choice of tie that evening. But yeah, what did you get?
We have some wonderful viewers of our parent company, Fox 13, and where I anchor a couple of newscasts. Also, I'm on this show that airs at 7 p.m. nightly in several markets in Florida called Florida Tonight. And so this viewer, Linda Burhan, sends me a beautiful card, and on the front of the card, you can tell she watches the nodpod, is a photo of me drinking the raw quail egg from a couple of weeks ago.
A moment that will live in infamy.
As I paid off my bet. And then on the inside, she wrote some very tender words. I have been meaning to send you a card to let you know how much I am enjoying Florida Tonight. This is where we would like to hear the nodpod as well. It's nice to be able to have a laugh and enjoy things not so serious. Enjoy, Linda.
Now,
Thank you,
did this
Linda.
segment of you guzzling the raw quail eggs air in Florida Tonight?
It did not.
Okay, all right.
It did not.
So, Linda, we appreciate the card. Well, I'm sure Chris does. I do too. But the No Off Days podcast, please like and subscribe. But it does on the front. It says that you make me laugh.
It does say that, yes.
So
you make me laugh. Yeah. This is what it takes, people. It takes drinking a raw animal's egg to make people happy.
Here's what I love about that is that was homemade, and she went out, she printed the picture.
She did.
And, on both sides. They probably had to run through the printer a couple of times. I'm going to guess that there was a few that maybe, overlapped the seam there. But she did a fine job.
She went to a great effort. I hope I make her a Christmas card. Do you think I'll make her
I think her Christmas cards will probably be printed off. But, yeah, there you go. That's a great idea.
Thank you for watching, Linda.
How about that?
We hope we keep making you laugh no matter which show you're watching.
Yeah, please continue to send your cards, viewers. We appreciate that. I got a question for you. What are your thoughts on charcuterie boards, Chris Cato?
I love them.
Do you have an opinion?
Never met one I didn't like.
Really?
Really?
Okay. Let's bring in Brian King and BK.
Uh-oh. Where's this going?
Look at him. Look at him grinning ear to ear. So we just had an off-camera debate in the sports office. It went on for way too long.
Way too long.
Brian, would you like to tell the nodpod audience and Chris what your opinion of charcuterie boards are?
I just do not see a difference between one and another and the third and the fourth one. I think they're all the same. It's all meats, it's all crackers, it's all cheeses. There's no big difference.
I believe this is a quote. He said I could get a bag of Triscuits and Cheese Whiz and call it a charcuterie board.
Yeah, I probably could.
Is he off base?
Well, yes, he is off base. That's
Yes.
more of a Lunchable. I think what you're describing there is a Lunchable. You do have different levels of charcuterie boards, and restaurants will price them accordingly.
Yeah.
If you want the really high-end ones, you have some olives on there that are hard to kind of find. You have this, the honeycomb. Do you ever get the one that has the actual piece of honeycomb on it? I love that.
That sounds fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
Except when you get a live bee in one.
Would you pair that with maybe some goat cheese?
I would.
Yeah.
I would do that.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about, Brian. He just doesn't have an appreciation. I think he's just has an aversion to the idea of charcuterie boards because I was very passionate about it in my defense. So he came out in the opposite.
I just don't understand the passion behind the charcuterie board. If I grill a nice steak, and man, I really spent time preparing the steak, and I grilled it out, man, I take pride in that. If I smoked, a pork butt or something, it comes out fantastic. Yeah, I'll take pride in that. If I'm laying out sliced meat on a wooden board, I don't feel that passionate about it.
Okay, well,
and that's it. That's the work, is putting the meat out on the board.
But so we went through a couple pictures of charcuterie boards, and I think he admitted that there were objects on the charcuterie board that he would like to try. Whether that's maybe a little capicola, a little salami, a little prosciutto, a little mortadella. Along with different cheese varieties, and you would be into that. But there's something about you don't like the presentation on a board, on a cutting board. Like you just think it's
no. If somebody takes the time to do it, yeah, that's nice. But I am not going to go to a party and then just beeline to the charcuterie board. If I'm standing right next to it, yeah, I'll start noshing on it, but I'm not going to sit there, holy smokes, who made this board?
It's really coming from a place of, I think, ignorance. I think he doesn't know. He just doesn't know.
If you walked into the right charcuterie board, you would, with the types of meats on there, you would say, I appreciate this. I don't need a fork. I just pick this up with my hands and chow down.
But I would say this about the charcuterie board. I'm putting a 4-person maximum on it. I'm not going to, again, we're not going to a Super Bowl party with a charcuterie board and having, 20 different hands digging into it. I'm not interested in that at all. I'd rather not touch it.
You want an intimate,
it's an intimate thing.
It is.
I think
I
it's
agree.
like you and another person, maybe a couple people with you.
If you're on a double date with someone,
double date,
like with your aunt and uncle.
Perfect double date fare. Absolutely.
Just that, you thinking of that and what you'd go through, that's way too much more effort than I get into.
Well, maybe you should ask your wife what she would like. And I bet you if you put together a nice little charcuterie board, she would say, "Who is this? And what have you done with Brian?" Anyway. All right. Well, what do we have other than charcuterie talk on today's podcast?
Hey, it's another repeat guest we have on our show.
Friend?
Yeah, let's call him a friend.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Anthony McFarland.
Oh, Booger.
Better known as Booger. He's back with us.
2-time Super Bowl champ. He's going to join. I think, Scott, you caught up with him.
I did. We had a little golf outing, our annual Abe Brown Ministries golf event, and
Great event.
I had to take advantage of the opportunity to hang out with Boog and maybe get us some thoughts on the Bucs, and we talked some college football too. Yeah. So a lot of the things that we've discussed in recent weeks, he's always he doesn't hold back his opinion. So it's a fresh voice.
Good.
All right.
Look forward to that.
And then at the end of the program, BK.
End of the show, I'm calling an audible here. How about that? Chris Cato came to me and said, "Hey, let me get in on this."
He didn't like the fact that last week I came up with a game, and he's like, whoa. He's already touchy that his name's not on the show. But he's the one getting cards, obviously.
I did have a bit of jealousy, and so I approached Brian and said, look, Brian, I know you're stressed to the max this week. I would like to come up with a game for our fun block. And can I tell the people at home what my thought process was? Okay, so huge thing happening in Tampa this weekend. Metallica is coming to Tampa for 2 nights, playing Raymond James Stadium. 2 complete different set lists each night. So I got to go both nights because I want to be there on the night that they play one. I don't want to. That's my favorite Metallica song. What if I just went Friday night and they didn't play one? They played us.
You're going both nights.
Yeah, I'm going both nights.
But earlier this year, you went to, was it Dallas?
That was 2 years ago.
Well, was it?
Yeah.
My goodness, time flies. I thought that was like a couple months back, BK. Doesn't it feel like?
It does.
Yeah,
I swear.
August of 2023. I went to Dallas and saw Metallica. Same deal, 2 different set lists, 2 nights. It was awesome. Of course, that was in the indoors, climate-controlled palace of AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, it might be a little toasty.
Might get
a little rain.
Yeah.
That's
why I'm wearing my best mosh pit shirt. Mosh pit? Can I say that shirt? So here's the game.
Yes.
We're going to play, since we have the Belmont Stakes this weekend as well, we're going to play Metallica song or Racehorse. I'm going to give you a name, and either it's the name of a Metallica title track or a racehorse that has won at least one leg of the Triple Crown. So these aren't just run-of-the-mill thoroughbreds. These are
not necessarily. They're not necessarily Belmont Stakes horses.
They're not all Belmont horses.
Okay, gotcha.
Past champions, but some have won.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess that leads to the Brian. Are you a Metallica fan?
Like one album, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Bet it was the Black Album with Enter Sandman on it. Yeah. Everyone had that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about there. How deep is their catalog? How many albums have they had?
Oh gosh, they put the first one out in '82. They've come out with 3 or 4 a year, 3 or 4 decades since then. I think 12 or 13.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm looking forward.
I'm probably going to get stumped on this one. All right. Very good. All right. Thank you, Charcuterie Man. We'll catch up with you momentarily. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take out your phone and zap that QR code on the screen. It'll send you to our show page. All of our shows are right there. Please subscribe on the podcast as well. And leave us a 5-star while you're at it. fox13news.com/nodpod. All right. So this week, I was kind of reading through some potential talker stories, and there was a common thread that I kind of am weaving through what we're about to talk about. And this has to do with the anatomy of a fan, not the physical anatomy, but like, what does it mean to be a fan? What line is too far to cross, and how many lines have been crossed with now this kind of infusion of gambling, which is very prominent in today's sports. Not that it's new, right? Gambling has been around forever and has been,
But it's more common than ever.
It's more common, more accepted, and in some ways because of the approachability of players nowadays through social media. There's lines have been blurred and certainly crossed, and so let's jump right into it. So Lance McCullers, pitcher for the Astros, a Tampa native, he spent 2.5 years away from the game, recovering from injury, fought his way back in his first outing, struggled and got some hate mail, some death threats from a fan. And this led to him having to hire 24-hour security. It was not just a death threat that was lobbed toward him. It was toward his children. He's got two young daughters. So like vile behavior, and this stuff happens with, some rate. I don't want to make it seem like it always is happening, but as you listen to athletes, they'll say, you know what, it happens a lot more than you think it happens, because there's obviously the veil of like you can, hide your true identity online, which is a problem. And so people, I wouldn't call them fans, feel emboldened to say whatever they want. And so the investigation was launched. The Houston Police Department kind of looked into it, and this last week they found the individual that was responsible for it, and they described him as a drunk gambling fan. So a guy that was he was intoxicated, and it was over a gambling bet that he had lost, and he kind of pinned that on McCullers, and so you have this guy that obviously crosses the line, and like to me, the gambling component of fandom, it's two totally different things. Like just because, like, I think that this is an important distinction to make, because the gambling is not what makes you a fan, right? Like people are maybe fans of sports, and so they feel like they have some knowledge, and so, okay, this is a chance to make money. But really, gambling is there's some fun in it, but like it's about making money, right?
You're a fan of yourself making money. That's what you're
mostly a
fan
fan
of. You're not
of,
a fan of a team or a player, although you may be a fan of a team you bet on, but that's not really what your fandom is directed toward.
Like if you had to bet against your favorite team because you think that they're going to lose,
you would do that.
And a parlay is going to hit because of that. Like that to me is like the opposite actually of being a fan. Like you're putting your self-interest above what it means to root for your team, and you always want your team to win, right? So like that is like one end. But now you have so Gabby Thomas. She's an Olympic gold medalist sprinter. She was recently running in the Grand Slam track event in Philadelphia. And like there's another fan who was following her around this track and heckling her, okay? And the whole point was to throw her off her game so that she didn't win the race. And she didn't win the race. She went over, and the guy goes on social media afterwards and kind of pats himself on the back and says, I'm responsible for her not winning because I was heckling her so bad.
Really? I did not see that. That's awful.
And so someone else won, and so he hit his parlay or whatever it was.
So he had bet on her not winning,
right?
And he was effectively, through his actions and his
he was
words,
trying to,
he had an effect, or at least claimed he did. Wow.
Yeah. And so, like, to break this incident down, right? Like, so the guy's obviously wrong. Heckling in sports, it happens. Like, I'm not willing to say like it's like the worst thing. I don't think heckling is. It really just, it has to be. There's always a level of too far, right? Like trash talk is kind of in the heckling category, and trash talk is a part of sports. And there's some that can be done playfully, and some that can be done with a competitive spirit, and I don't really have a problem with that. Like, I would never go to a game and heckle. Like, I just...
You wouldn't heckle?
I would never do that.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
I would never do that. I have never done that.
When you went to the Oakland A's games back in the day, no heckling?
No, I would never do that. No,
Man.
Because I want to go to a game and just enjoy it, and then the outcome is what I want. That's the only thing I really care about, right? I want my team to win. And I don't want to become the object of vitriol from fans. I don't want to sit around drunk fans. I don't want to sit where fans are getting into it. Like, that does nothing for me. It's just a distraction. I hate it. And that's why for most of this, even though my job is to go to games a lot of times, ironically,
you're usually
I sit in the press
right.
box and I'm removed from all that. But like, I've gone to games and brought my kids, and I'm like, this is not an appropriate environment for them. Like, there's fans that kind of take, well, I got a ticket to the game, I can act any old way I want.
For sure.
And so, so I would say heckling is fine within reason, right? There is an element of that, and I get it. I went to a Dick's Sporting Goods recently, and there's a guy was, they have the batting cages there.
Yeah.
So people are waiting. There's a couple young adult men like that are taking their hacks in the batting cage. And this guy comes up, and he is he's razzing them. He does not know them from Adam.
Oh, really? I was going to say he must be a buddy or something.
No, you would think. But he was just like, he was making sound effects every time they whiffed. Like,
wow.
he was really getting into these guys. And at first I was like, oh, that's kind of distasteful. And then he had me laughing. Like, he had me rolling.
See,
like,
you were encouraging the heckling.
I was encouraging. But, like, to me, it was like, that was, like, right on the line of, like, I'm being playful. Like, I'm calling you out. I'm trying to be a little bit competitive, and the guys in the cage took it well, and it kind of became a funny little thing.
Right.
So no issues there. But like in this situation, obviously the guy's trying to impact it because of his gambling, and he wants to make sure he hits on this parlay, and it's like way overboard, right? So like these type of people are not fans to me. Like, they may be a fan of a certain team, but it's like totally disconnected, right? So my third example, all right, or my second example, we have Roman Anthony. He's the top prospect in all of baseball, plays for the Boston Red Sox. And, they made a funny little video of him recently sneaking out of the facility, and he got inside of a laundry cart, like covered with like bags and supplies, so he was not seen. And they pushed, like the people with the operation staff or whatever, pushed him out of the facility, past all these waiting fans, supposed fans, that are waiting there with their binders and their books of cards for him to sign and waiting, and so he avoids the autograph line. All right, like, should players give autographs to fans? Yeah, I think that's part of it. Like, that's how you build fans. That's how, like, but you've seen it. I've seen it many times. You have like a certain group of people. They are not fans. They are people that are making money off the signed memorabilia.
Right.
And they stand there with binders of cards, repeat cards. They're back all the time. Like, I've seen them. I've traveled to Bucs games where some of these people are like in the team hotel. And like waiting for someone to come out, walk through the lobby and like, hey, sign this, sign that. It's one thing if it's like a 10-year-old kid, but like for like fully grown men to be doing this, like, it's gross to me.
It's one of the weirdest things I've seen. BK may want to jump in on this, but when the Nick Saban heyday at Alabama, they had media day, and that's when fans could show up at Bryant-Denny, and they had multiple players and Coach Saban sitting there at tables, and it was a literal. They would drop a rope. The fans were all behind a rope. They would drop a rope, and the fans could take off, and it was the first come, first served to whichever table. And, of course, most people made a beeline for Saban's table. And it was like, 50-something-year-old men that were just outpacing, swatting children aside to get to Saban first. And you knew they were flipping these autographs around. They happened to have a football or whatever it is he's signing, and it was really disgusting. And they kind of shut it down after that got out of hand for a couple of years. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are. And it does. It is disgusting when it's the adults. The kids just want an autograph. It's not even Saban. It's just any football player, any baseball player. It is kind of, disgusting seeing them elbowing. And then they come up, like Scott said, folders and binders full of the same card, like 20 different cards of the same guy.
And I want to be clear, too, because I don't think it's wrong for adults to get autographs.
No.
That's not what I'm saying. I think we know the type of people we're talking about. That, like, I don't know what their side hustle is or their main hustle, but it has to do with sports memorabilia and flipping it. And I'm sure every pro athlete is very familiar with these type of people, and they probably see a lot of them repeatedly. Yeah. So that's different than, like, if you saw, name your favorite, player, and you just happen to have something that he could sign, like that there's no issue with that, right?
Right.
So anyway, it's like part of it is the curiosity of your opinion, Chris, on like what gambling. Like, do you feel like it is It's certainly promoted by every major professional sport now.
That's the trouble, right?
And yet there's like this dark side to it where you can't. I think the people that are going to do that, they already have an issue. Like there's something else going on, right? Like if you're inclined to reach out and lob death threats at somebody, like the gambling is just exposing an issue that it already exists. But like it kind of enables it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I kind of think to bring this back to the first example you gave and what you said about 5 or 10 minutes ago was perfect, because this is a perfect storm when you have gambling that is now legal in 35 states and the District of Columbia, and you have social media that gives people access to reach out and heckle and say awful things. That's why we're at this tipping point here. But if you take it back to the first example you gave with McCullers, I think this could help stymie a little of that. Houston police have identified the heckler, as you mentioned, or the death. He wasn't a heckler; he was a death threat maker to children, and so they haven't filed charges as of this taping. They're considering it. I want them to come down heavy on this guy and set an example, because I think that's one way. You know, the NFL is so good at this, and so are other professional leagues now. When you have their players that have gotten suspended in recent seasons for placing sports bets at the team facility, you know, Jamison Williams sticks out to mind for the Lions. Yeah. There were a few others. That's because the tracking technology is so precise now, and it's a third-party company that does it, that can pinpoint where a bet was placed and who placed it. That same technology should be able to be used to find out who's making these ridiculous comments. I mean, you just turn it around and point it in the other direction.
So I think the question is like, so what level, what is a healthy level of engagement for fans? You know, obviously, like the type of heckling that guy did, the people that do the kind of sports memorabilia, like what is the line of caring? So I'm going to give you another example. So Frank Ragnow, center for the Lions, Pro Bowler,
a great one,
just retired,
great one,
and it was surprising. Okay, so and this is not to call out my dad, but I'm gonna call him out. So he sends me a text. He says, "Oh, bye, BK." He says, you know, if he ends up on another team, I'm gonna hate this guy. You know, and not like genuine hate, but it's, you know, right. Sports hatred. It's like
sports hatred,
like your rival team. Like if you're a Bucs fan, you hate the Falcons. You don't actually hate them. You don't. It's not a hate like that. But you know, obviously Ragnow is retiring because of injury issues. But like, part of me, I get that, right? Like you're like, well, I can't. The Lions as a team have a history of players retiring unceremoniously at what would be their peak. And you're like, okay, here we go. Another one leaving us high and dry. So I get like that kind of apathy, and it turns into cynicism for fans that would say like, okay, well, he better not end up here. He better not. But then I'm like, what is that, I don't know, the feeling that you get like when a player you had on your team leaves? Like, can you root for that team? Or root for that player. Like when, you know, I grew up a Lions fan as a kid, and so when Matt Stafford got traded to the Rams, I was not happy about it, and I immediately was like, okay, well, I can't be a Stafford fan anymore.
Even he didn't leave under his own, like, I think that's the difference, right?
He was traded, but it was by all reports, it was
he wanted it.
He wanted out, right? Yeah. He wanted out. So it's like, well, I don't really hold any personal grudge toward him, but like, I'm not rooting for him in the Super Bowl. He left my team. Yeah. He left my group. You know, like the whole point of a team is like you got to stay with my team, and then you're in that kind of circle of trust. I want you to succeed. I want my team to succeed. The individual success is not. I don't like. You know, people who like, oh, I'm just a fan of this player. Like, I've never really, I get that. Like, you could admire a player on another team, but like, I think your true fandom, like when you root for your team, it's whoever's on that roster.
Team supersedes individual
Absolutely.
player. Okay, yeah. That's one way to look at it. I feel like, again, it depends on the circumstances and how the player leaves. If they are holding out for more money and they are just, you know, not wanting to complete their contract with your team and they're looking for a bigger payday somewhere else, then I have no problem with, you know, not watching or not rooting for, or
like he wants to, like, let's say a player just wants to leave and have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, how selfish.
And feels like
how selfish.
I just want
you should
to
help
win.
your current
I want to
team
leave that
win that trophy, right?
Thank you very much.
I'm trying to think of an example.
Okay,
of
I
where,
got one for you.
okay.
If Nick Saban decided to come out of retirement and he said, you know what, I'm going to go coach for Auburn.
No,
Brian,
he would never do that.
Brian,
That's not
right. Oh, he would never do
He would
that.
never do that.
He would never do it. Okay, but in this fictional world, let's say he does. Okay? What happens with your feelings about Nick Saban? Let's be honest now.
If it was Auburn, I mean,
let's say he came out. I don't care. I mean, I just pick Auburn because that's the bitter
No, that's
rival.
a perfect example.
But like any team in the SEC, he comes back and he's coaching again, but not for your team.
but I mean, like Jalen Hurts left to go quarterback at Oklahoma.
Right, but that we can understand the situation
Yeah.
because of that. He left because he was kind of
he was
forced out.
He'd lost his job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I answer?
Go ahead.
I would hate Saban if he came back
Yeah.
and coached Auburn or Tennessee or LSU again. Or yes, I would hate him. Plus, he's easy to hate anyway unless he's your coach. Remember, we hated him earlier until he came to Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
So
I appreciate this man's honesty.
We could just turn the hate meter on again.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, and when we say hate, we don't mean
right,
it's
exactly.
not a personal thing.
I
It's
would
a
root
fan,
against him,
it's
though.
a yeah, it's
and
a
I would
fan
be
thing.
disgusted by him.
It's very fickle. Fans are fickle.
We are.
And if you're with my team, I love you. And when you leave my team, if you decided to leave, I don't know how I feel about you. I'm not rooting for you.
It would
that's
be
for sure.
like, if I can, one more example, the Capicola leaving the charcuterie board.
Yeah.
And going to play over in, where you find the salads. And you would say, what are you doing over here? You don't belong
This
here.
is not your spot. You're not going to thrive here. You're meant to be on a charcuterie board.
Exactly.
Brian, back to the Saban.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I mean, would I cheer for him? No. Would I, the word hate, I wouldn't hate him. Would I be upset? Maybe, but I mean,
you're couching it.
no, I don't.
If
I
he
mean,
won
Your feelings about Saban would be forever changed. Like, for whatever, and it's not positively, right? You can't sit there and be like, even if you went back to any team in college football, like, you wouldn't be like, I'm personally happy for him. I personally, he meant so much to our organization while we had him. That, like, I just want nothing but individual success for him.
Yeah, I make one exception.
As
If he went to
chooses to
West,
go
if he went
play
to
for
West
another team.
Virginia, I would forgive that because that's where he grew up. That's where he's from. He's got a soft spot
Okay.
for West Virginia. They're not in the SEC. I could live with that. He's not doing it though.
Brian's not answering the question.
no, I just don't. I mean, I'm grateful for what he gave to
Sure.
my university, and I'm happy with that. If he wants to go coach somewhere else, so
What
be
if he
it.
went to Auburn and Auburn won a national
Oh, my
championship
goodness.
though? Like, you wouldn't hate that just a little bit? Him winning a national championship for Auburn? That'd be terrible.
Oh, yeah, I guess I would, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so that would never happen.
It would
I'm
never
trying
be-
to.
well-
I'm trying to think like
See,
Cam Newton. I mean, I don't know.
Let's save this clip for 4 years from now.
He's not gonna do
Hugh
it.
Freeze is getting fired after this coming season.
I think that the point that we're trying to underscore here is like, so there is a little bit of crazy in fans, which
Yes.
is what makes them fans fanatic, right? You
Right.
root for your team, win or lose. Like, you don't want to, if you're amongst fans that, like, they don't really care, well, then you would say what? You're not a diehard fan. You're not a true fan. Right? We judge other people's level of fandom.
We
and
do.
we say, you know what? If you're okay, like, a minute after losing an enormous game, if Bama loses the national championship, first of all, like, I know as someone that cares about my teams, like, I'm not going to text you guys and rub it in.
Please don't.
I wouldn't do that. Now, I would talk maybe some smack before the game, but if you lost your a big game, I wouldn't want to pour salt in that wound because I understand as a fan that it should hurt. If it does not hurt, then there's a problem,
Yeah.
right? There's
You know
a
when he
problem
would
in the
do it,
fan.
BK? He would do it. He wouldn't text us. He would do it in his sportscast. He would say something snarky about Bama,
Wait.
about Bama blowing another one, so that everyone gets the message.
That's it,
That's
yeah.
what he would do. This guy's
No, I
never
wouldn't.
heckled anyone. I
I
do not believe that.
I've never heckled.
You've heckled me in the makeup room.
Well, you, yes.
You are a heckler. He is a born heckler. Look at him.
Hey, look, there is a little bit of difference between trash talk and heckling, and
Okay.
I think trash talk that is good natured, that drives the whole point is, like, if you love sports, You love competition.
Right.
Like, that's what it's all about. Competing. You versus me. Let's see who wins, And then the part that really stinks is that if you're on the losing end, it's like you got to swallow it like a raw quail egg,
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I think that the gambling thing it's murky waters right now, and I think it's just fodder for people that are like loose cannons out there to do the wrong thing. But I think fans should continue to be passionate. Be passionate. Don't be apathetic about your team, even though for some teams it's harder than others to try to stay on board.
Sure is.
Anyway, thanks, BK.
Hey, man, thanks.
Charcuterie man goes away again. All right. Coming up on the other side, a guy who's very passionate about sports, one Booger McFarland. He is our guest from the nodpod. Continue. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. Chris, you have been a part of this event over the years, although not in recent years. You've backed away. But we at Fox 13 have a partnership with Abe Brown Ministries, and they do some great work in the Tampa Bay area community to help the recidivism of those coming out of the prison system, trying to get reacclimated back into life and all that. And so this ministry does a great job, and every year they have a golf event that raises a ton of money for the ministry, and it's one thing that we get an opportunity to go out there and play a little golf and have some fun.
At Innisbrook, nonetheless.
At Innisbrook, it could be worse. So anyway, that happened this last week, and so Booger McFarland is the host of this event each and every year, and so we had an opportunity to catch up, talk a little golf, talk a little Bucs, talk a little college football. Check out an interview with Booger McFarland. All right, catching Booger McFarland on the golf course. I guess first things first, how did we swing it today? Did you feel like you were on top of your game?
Never really got the A game, but it's always good to be out here for a good cause, man. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. A Brown Ministries has been so good to this community. So anytime you can come out here, even if you don't have your A game, but you can be out here for a good cause, it makes it all worthwhile.
Can't beat the weather. For the 1st of June to dial something up like this, I'll take it, right?
No doubt about it. I mean, anytime you can be less than 100 in the 1st of June with overcast, I'll take it any day.
No doubt. All right, let's jump into Bucs. Let's start with the draft and what you thought. Do you feel like they accomplished what you thought they needed to accomplish through the draft?
Well, I think most people would say that this team needed to go heavy on defense. The defense wasn't very good. Offensively, they were pretty good last year. But then they took a wide receiver in the first round, which immediately got everybody up in Bristol and in my ears perked up about Chris Godwin, because you sign him back to a new deal, give him a lot of money, but then you take a wide receiver in the first round to go along with the kids you took out of Washington last year. It just seems strange. I just wonder about the health of Godwin, if and when he'll be ready for the start of the season, which might justify that pick. Even though people thought it was strange in April, it may justify it come September.
We've seen Light go cornerback before in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a position that you can never really have too many of, or if have you seen anything in these guys that they picked up, these cornerbacks, that you feel could step right in? Because I know Jamel Dean is a little bit of a question mark in terms of what his salary was and expectation for this year.
Well, not just the salary. He didn't play well last year. Carlton Davis is now in Detroit. Zion played pretty well last year, but you needed some cornerback depth. And you got to have 4 or 5 to play in this league. You can't just have 2 or 3. And I think Zion established himself last year, but they needed some youth and infusion of talent at the cornerback position. So you got to give Jason a lot of credit. Like, Jason has done a phenomenal job drafting talent. I think you look at the offensive line, it's a top 5 offensive line in the football. He built that offensive line through the draft. And defensively, he's got to put a lot of resources there. And so you got to start at the cornerback. He's invested heavy at the defensive line position. We're still waiting to get some edge rush, which is why I think when you bring in Hassan Reddick, you're hoping to get some pressure off the edge. But cornerback is where you have to go, especially the way our corners played last year.
Speaking of Hassan, this seems like a really solid move for the Bucs to make, because it's low pressure. You get him at a bargain rate, and he has everything to prove, right?
Yeah, well, no doubt about it. It's a 1-year deal. He hadn't played a lot of football here recently, so he's going to be motivated to play. And I think, him being in the position that he's in right now at the end of his career, if he has a good year, he can get another payday, maybe a 2 or 3 year deal. He knows how to rush the passer. And I think in this Todd Bowles defense, that's going to bring pressure. He wants to bring pressure. He also wants to play man-to-man with one-on-ones on the back end, and he hasn't quite had the guys that can get after the passer. Joe Tryon just couldn't quite do it. Yaya needs some help, and I think if you can get Hassan rushing, and you get Yaya rushing, now you get Braswell from Alabama to maybe step his game up. Now you can kind of see where this team can put pressure on the quarterback, but because if you can't stop a team from throwing the ball by pass coverage, you got to do it by pass rush. Last year they had none of it. And so I think they're trying to figure out a way, how do you slow teams down? Because I think the Bucs fans are tired of seeing 3rd and 7 turning to 1st and 10.
Yeah. Well, we know the offense kind of carried the day last year. Mm-hmm. You got all the starters back. What do you expect from Baker Mayfield? What are the areas that he probably needs to tweak or adjust in order to kind of take this offense to the next level under first-year OC?
Well, you got all the starters back, but you got a first-year OC. And I know there's continuity because he was on the staff, but how are you going to get him and Baker to jail? Because it's everybody can look at a play sheet and name the plays. Who can call them in the right sequence against the right defense? And on top of that, I think something you got to give this offense a lot of credit for last year. They made a lot of adjustments on the fly. First quarter, second quarter, halftime. And so, but from a talent standpoint, this offense should be as good as any offense in football. The offensive line's top 5. Receivers are probably top 10. The running back room with Bucky and Rashad, the way they run the football, behind that offensive line should be a top 10 running back room. That's not much to like as long as they stay healthy. The key is going to be, can you call the right plays? Can you put Baker in the right position? Because we saw with Liam, Baker had his best year. And so now can the new OC allow Baker to continue to flourish? Because Baker has really kind of found his groove here in Tampa. I think he fits Tampa. Tampa fits him. His family loves it. He's comfortable. And now can you get him back comfortable in the huddle the way that Liam had him last year? I think that'll be the key.
The division as a whole, I mean, if you look at it like maybe a stock board, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like the Saints are dive bombing. Maybe a little bit of an uptick for the Panthers. Yeah. You know, I'm not really sure what to read on the Falcons. They kind of went defense heavy in the draft. Yeah. You know, it looks like Penix is going to get, full starts from game number 1. Mm-hmm. How do you read this division? How do you think it shakes out?
Well, I think it's the Bucs division to win or lose. Atlanta, if Michael Penix is as advertised as we saw him last year, I think they're going to be really good. But to me, the division comes down to which defense between Atlanta and Tampa can rush the passer. The Falcons haven't had a double-digit sack guy since Vic Beasley. Was that almost 10 years ago? The Bucs, we've already talked about how they struggle to rush the passer. So which team who's invested in their pass rush, the Bucs with Reddick, the Falcons with 2 first-round picks in their edge rush, which team can rush the passer the better? I think both offenses are going to be pretty good. I think Michael Penix is as advertised. I think he's a good quarterback. With that being said, the defense, whichever one I think is the best, is going to allow their team to win the division.
Don't go anywhere. We still have more with Booger. We're going to talk college football. I want to get his thoughts on who the most powerful person in college football is right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What do you think his answer is?
I don't know, but I want to know how you played. That's what I want to know. How'd you hit him out there?
We did great. But I also had someone that carried our team on his back, and he's very sore right now. So stay with us. Nodpod back after this. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. Last block, we talked with Booger McFarland about the Bucs and what he likes about this year's draft class and all kinds of good stuff. But he also covers college football for ESPN, so he's got his hands in all kinds of pots. Mm-hmm. So while we had him, we figured, you know what? Let's get your thoughts on some of these playoff format changes that are coming to college football. And what does Booger think about that? Here's our interview. The big kind of story coming out of these conference media days or whatever it was about the playoff format moving into 2026. Do you have I know they have like the 4-4-2-2-1-3,
yeah,
and then there's the 5+11 where you have 11 at-larges. Where are we at?
It does. Listen, I was one of the guys. I wanted 4 teams, man. I'm old school. Like, it should be hard. Everybody wants inclusion just because their team can, quote unquote, be involved in it. Man, winning a championship should be hard. Was 12 right last year? Yeah, it was probably too many for me. Now we're probably going to go to a different model. Here's what I'll say. I understand what the home playoff game did last year. Like, it was cool to see a game at Notre Dame. It was cool to see a playoff game in Happy Valley. But at the end of the day, I think, you looked at Ohio State was the best team all year last year. And I think I take solace in the fact that we got that right. Either way, I'm okay. If you would ask me, I'd have stayed with 4. So wherever they go now, 5+1, 2+1, like, it doesn't matter to me. As long as they get some good competition, as long as they get the right teams in there. And I think the key is always going to be with this. And here's why it'll never be a perfect system. It's because none of these conferences are created equal. And so my 8-4 in the SEC may be different than the 8-4 in the Big Ten. That's different than the 8-4 in the ACC. And so it's always going to be inequitable when it comes to that. So whichever way can satisfy the most people, I'll go for it.
In today's college football landscape, who is the most powerful entity or person? Is it Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC? It doesn't seem like the NCAA really has its teeth in it as much. That it's either coming down to either the Big Ten conference as they get to pick what they're going to do format-wise moving into 2026, right?
Yeah, the NCAA, I think, is the biggest farce out there right now. And I think, they do a phenomenal job with basketball. But when it comes to football, I think the Big Ten and the SEC are running football. So Tony Petitti, Greg Sankey, those are the two most powerful people in the sport. And as long as they continue to control those two conferences, I think you got to kind of lean toward whatever they want to do. And eventually, I don't know whether it's 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, it's going to be those two conferences will kind of secede from the NCAA, and you'll have a powerful four full of 50, 60 teams, and they'll play for a championship. And then the NCAA, they'll be upset, and they'll try to control basketball. And eventually, they're going to try to make basketball 90 teams so they can stretch their tournament out. But, we'll see.
All right, last one. In the state of Florida,
yeah,
who's going to be the best college football team? Does FSU make a jump back? Is it going to be UF under year 2 with DJ? Is Miami going to make some noise with Carson Beck transferring in? Who do you like?
Well, I'm not a believer in Carson Beck. I saw what he did at Georgia. Florida State, I do like what Mike Norvell has done. They got a long road to hoe after last year. People were so ready to kick Billy Napier out of Gainesville, and I saw what he did at Louisiana because I'm from Louisiana, so I kind of paid close attention to it. He's a good football coach. Taking him a little longer than most people would expect. I like the Gators, man. I'm bullish on the Gators. When you're in a talent-rich state like Florida, Louisiana, Texas, California, Pennsylvania, if you're the big dog in that state, you should be pretty good. Florida's kind of been the big dog since the mid-'90s when Tallahassee had their run. It's been kind of Florida State. And they took a step back a little bit, but I think they got the right coach. The quarterback is phenomenal. It's just tough in this day and age of NIL. I got to go back and look at rosters to see who's on what team because of the transfer portal NIL. Right. You don't know who's who, but long-winded way of saying if I had to rank them, I'd go Florida, Florida State, and Miami, pulling up the rear.
Well, I don't know how you golfed today, but I did see your score come in on the snake pit. It was birdie, 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 right?
Yeah, we birdied. We birdied the last 4. We birdied 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Like the pros do it.
No doubt.
Booger McFarland, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, bro. Yes, the all-powerful Greg Sankey. You agree with that?
That's where I thought he was going. It's got to be Greg Sankey right
Absolutely.
now. Yeah.
All right, coming up on the other side, he's got his Metallica shirt on for a reason. Mm-hmm. You have constructed a game about horses and Hetfield.
That's right. We may have a game where no one gets any answer. No one gets any points between you and BK.
Probably won't. I don't think I'm going to be winning this next one, but that's coming up in our fun block next.
Do you know Inner Sandman?
Yeah.
Oh, you got that one? Okay.
Of course. Right? Chris, back in high school, I remember we would pipe in Metallica on game days. That was part of our preparation we would get all pumped up listening to some Metallica, but that was probably the last time I really listened. It's been a minute.
And just guessing your age, that was probably off that Black album that had Inner Sandman on it.
How old do you think I am?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That's probably it. So with that, let's bring in BK. And Chris, if you want to give a recap of kind of the point of this game that you've constructed.
All right, real quick. Yeah, we got Metallica in Tampa this weekend. We got the Belmont Stakes. This is the way my brain works. So I'm going to give you guys a name, and you will tell me if this is a name of a horse that has won at least one leg of the Triple Crown. So these aren't just any run-of-the-mill thoroughbreds. These are actual significant horses, or if this is a title of a Metallica song. Are you gentlemen ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's start off easy here. Start off easy since you guys, may not be the most familiar with horses or metalheads. Palace Malice. Is Palace Malice a Metallica song title or a racehorse that won at least one leg of the Triple Crown?
BK?
Palace Malice is a racehorse that won the 1984 Preakness.
Well, he's trying to give me the race, too.
Yeah, this guy did some studying during the show. No. I don't like this at all.
Hey, I didn't say he's right. I didn't say he's right.
Palace Malice. I mean, Okay. Well, I'm going to say horse.
All right. Well, I couldn't stump you guys, but BK, partial credit. Palace Malice won the Belmont Stakes in 2013.
Okay, close.
Oh, you both get full credit. All right.
Okay.
I thought that one was easy. This one is easier. Let's go no-leaf clover. No-leaf clover. Let's make Scott go first. Scott, is that a Metallica song or a horse?
I feel like that's a Luke Combs song. I think it's a. Ooh. No, his is a 5-leaf clover. I think that song.
Is it possible?
Do you know who Luke Combs is?
I do know Luke Combs, and now you say 5-leaf clover. Now that makes sense. Okay.
I'm gonna say racehorse again. No leaf clover. Although that doesn't infuse a lot of confidence into this horse before.
Very unlucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. BK.
I'm gonna go Metallica song. That just sounds like a Metallica song.
BK is correct again.
Ooh, wow.
No leaf clover, not to be confused with Clover Brook, who was the winner of the 1877 Belmont. That's the one Scott was thinking about, Clover Brook.
But yes, confused.
No leaf clover, one of my favorites, by the way.
Really?
All right, BK, perfect score so far. Let's go with this one. Master Derby. Is Master Derby a horse or a Metallica song?
I know Master of Puppets. I'll go
Is that Metallica?
Master of Puppet. I'll go Master Derby's a horse.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. It sounds like a horse to me. I mean, you got Derby in it. There's no way that's a. I can't imagine them singing about a Derby. I can't. There's just no.
Yeah, we're the masters of Derby. We won by 8
It's the
furlongs.
hat. It's the hat. It's about a hat.
You're both correct. It is a horse.
Okay.
Although Master Derby did not win the Kentucky Derby, it won the Preakness in 1975.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Master of
All right,
Puppets.
Brian is perfect
So far.
Wow.
Okay. Both doing well, though. Number 4, I love this name, Phantom Lord. Is Phantom Lord a Metallica song or a horse?
I'm gonna go Metallica song.
Okay. BK?
Phantom Lord. I'm going horse.
He is riding the horses today. BK misses his first one. Scott gets this one. Phantom Lord off the Kill 'Em All album, 1982.
Oh, how did I miss the Kill Them
A lot
All
of good, lot of bangers
album.
on that one. Not to be confused with Lord Murphy, who was the horse that won the Derby in 1879.
How does Phantom Lord go?
I can't tell you. I have no. That's a deep cut. Something like that. All right, got time for one more, 2 more?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I got to be careful how I pronounce this one. Hail to all. Hail to all. Horse or Metallica song?
Brian?
I will go horse.
Okay. Hail to all. That's got to be. I think that was also off the Kill 'Em All album. I'm gonna go Metallica.
See, Scott is thinking of Hell and Back, which is the other kind of hell, not Hail. Hell and Back is a Metallica song, but this is Hail to All is a horse that won the Belmont Stakes in 1965.
Oh.
Okay.
Was it a Michigan fan?
I don't think so. It might be now. All right, one more. Let's go. Carpe Diem, baby. Carpe Diem, baby. Metallica song or horse?
Wait, Baby is part of it?
Yeah, Baby is part of
Okay.
it. Carpe Diem, baby.
I'm gonna go. That's a horse. Carpe Diem, baby. I can't picture him saying baby.
No, I can.
I can't
Yeah, that
see-
sounded pretty good, actually.
did.
He
That
can't.
sounded just
He
like
can't
him.
say baby in a
He
song.
might do that.
No, I don't think he would.
I think they covered a Mariah Carey song recently.
I'll go Metallica song just because the Scott's impersonation
Yeah,
of him.
BK is right again.
Yeah,
Carpe
really?
Diem is a Metallica song off the Reload album in 1997.
Carpe Diem, baby.
Carpe Diem, baby.
Oh, man.
I put that one in there because I thought you would think it's a
Carpe
horse.
Diem, baby.
Yeah, that album when they went ska, it didn't go so well. I have plenty more. How we want to wrap it up? Are we good?
If you give me one more good one.
Let's go. This is a significant one. Let's go with Assault. Assault. Is Assault a Metallica song or a horse?
I'm very confident with this one. This is a Metallica song.
It's got to be Metallica song.
Has to be.
Okay, well, BK, you should have learned. Go against Scott. It is a horse. It's a horse that won the Triple Crown in 1946.
Ooh.
Oh
There you
my
go.
goodness.
And here's your crown, King Nothing. See what I did there?
See, yeah.
I don't know that reference either.
That's a
My
Metallica
goodness.
song.
Nothing
boy.
else matters, Scott.
Nothing else matters but being right.
Ride
That's
the
right.
Lightning.
Yeah,
that's
you got-
lightning. That's a.
you got that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuel.
That was back in 1995, I think.
Yeah.
Man, that was a tough quiz.
That was
was
tough.
fun.
That will not
I
be
like
making
that.
a repeat on this show.
I guess this is the last time I'll get to do the
No,
game at the end.
no, y'all like this. Cato, you got to do
Did
this
you
more
now?
often.
You know all those songs?
I don't know all
Or
those
did-
songs.
Okay, all right.
I had no idea there was a Carpe Diem, baby.
I think he's going to close with it.
I hope not.
There we go.
No.
It's for Chris Cato. And Florida tonight's Chris Cato. Carpe diem, baby.
Carpe the quail egg.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you, BK.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Go get to work on that charcuterie board. Trust me.
You got it.
You'll be a believer.
I'll bring one in.
When you have a good one. Much thanks to our guest, Booger McFarland. Appreciate his insights as always. Our crew, Chris Griffin on the ones and twos. We got Rochelle here on the jib. I believe, is Sarah back there working the audio board? Who we got?
Chris is doing both jobs.
He's always doing multiple jobs.
Wow.
This guy, he just doesn't stop.
That's how you replaced BK.
He lives by the no off days theme right there. For Chris and BK, I'm Scott. Until the next time we're on, there are no off days.
Yeah, nothing else matters.